Hey you guys, thanks so much for clicking on my channel. We're all smiles over here. I am Sanja. It's like asking a question. Will Sanja help you keep your smile for the day? And hopefully the answer is yes, you guys. I'm trying not to keep it long, but y'all already know. If it gets good, I'm gonna keep on talking. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to go. The nugget today is promotion. Listen, I know y'all been praying and asking God to do some things in your life, and guess what? He's about to do that thing. Promotion. You know what promotion means? It means you're gonna be a notch above than where you were or where you used to be. So listen, I'm gonna use for an example Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Y'all know the story, but let me give you the history of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Just a small history. It all stems from Daniel. Daniel was able to interpret dreams. And because Daniel was able to interpret the dreams of the king, I think his name was Nebuchadnezzar, the king gave Daniel a position, a high position in the land. And guess who were friends with Daniel? It was Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And so when Daniel realized that the king was giving him a position in the land, he said, hey king, my boys, my fellas, I want you to hook them up too. And guess what the king did? The king hooked them up too, because truth be told, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego had gifted abilities to interpret as well. And so the king did. He gave Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego favor because of Daniel. Now later on, fast forwarding, the king decided that he would shape in a golden image, a little god, in other words, and he wanted his people to bow down to that golden image. And so he said, hey, listen, when all the music is playing loud and whatnot, I want everybody to bow down to this golden image. And if you refuse to, then I'm going to toss you in a fiery furnace. And so, sure enough, the music began to play loud, and sure enough, everybody began to look around, and people began to bow down to this golden image. Well, the king's security guards noticed that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were the only ones that decided that they were not going to bow down. Why? Because Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego worshiped God. God was the head of their life. God was their anchor. And so the security guards went to the king and told them. Of course, the king said, bring them to me. Now, you know the king mad. King is upset. Why? Because one, he gave them favor because of Daniel. And I know he's thinking, I didn't even have to do that. I didn't even have to give y'all a position. I only gave y'all a position because of y'all boy, Daniel. And here I am telling y'all to bow down to this golden image that I worship. And you won't even do that for me? And I gave you positions in the land? And so the king is furious. So the king asked them, hey, listen, why won't you bow down? They tell him, we only worship one and only God. The God that created the heavens and the earth. That's our anchor. And so the king got upset. He was furious. He said, you know what? Toss them in the fiery furnace. And not only just toss them in there, turn that fiery furnace pit up 7 times hotter than what it normally is. And sure enough, that's what they did. And so the king's boys tossed them in there. Now, mind you, this fire was so hot in this pit that when some of these guards was tossing Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego inside of it, that they died. That tells you how hot it was. And so, time goes by, and they're thinking, okay, this should be dead by now. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego should be dead by now. And so the king goes over and looked down to see if they were dead. And guess what he sees? You already know the story. He sees them walking around. They ain't just standing in one place. They're not shivering. They're not curled up into a ball, which normally people do when they're caught in a fire and they just curl up into fetal position. They're not in fetal position. They're walking around in the fire. And he says to the people, to his guards, did not we toss 3 in the fiery furnace in this pit? And the security says, yeah, boss man. We just put Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in there. That's all was in the pit, just those 3. And the king says what? Why is it that it looks like I see 4? And the 4th one looks like the Son of God, which means what? The Spirit of Jesus. Now, if I could be a fly on the wall in that fiery furnace, I'm quite sure that conversation was like, man, what y'all been up to? Oh, we've been down here just supporting God, but standing on God's word, trusting in God. And Jesus like, yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. That's why we down here talking. That's why we down here protected. They was just having a general conversation. I believe in my heart, in my soul, that nobody was talking about saying whether or not if they were going to be delivered or not. They already knew. They had already been delivered. Here's the thing, y'all. As soon as you put your foot down, anchor yourself in God, you have already won. Oh, you hear me? You have already won. So when the enemy tossed them into the fiery furnace, they had already had the victory. They already had the victory. That's why God says what? I read it to y'all before. Be not weary in well-doing, because in due season you shall reap if you faint not. That's how Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were. They were not weary in their well-doing. What was the well-doing? Their well-doing was that they were standing on God's word, was that he would deliver them in a time of trouble, that he would be their shield and buckler. That's what his truth is to them. And they were standing on his truth. Read Psalms 91. He says, God says, my truth will be your shield and your buckler. Which means what? Your protection. And that's what it was. And so when the king saw that it was 4, I'm going to get to the promotion. Y'all saying, what a promotion? What a promotion? Now, I already told you the king had already given Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego a position in the land already because of Daniel. And so when the king saw that it was a 4th there, he said, pull them up. Get them up out of the pit. And when he pulled them up out of the pit, he looked at them. He was surveying them. And he noticed that their hair on their head was not singed. Their eyebrows weren't singed. And that their clothes weren't tethered, weren't burned. They didn't smell like they had just come from a barbecue. They smelled normal. They didn't have any smoke, any type of residue on them that looked like they had been in a fiery pit. And that's what God is going to do for you. I know you've been in a whole lot of stuff, but when God brings you out and give you this promotion, you are not going to look like what the enemy tried to put you through. Did you hear me? You're not going to look like what the enemy tried to put you through. And this is what happened, y'all. The king told them, anybody that goes up against, because the king noticed that the God that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego served was the true and living God. And he said, anybody that goes against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego has to answer to me. That's what he said. And then you know what he said after that? He said that he gave them a promotion. He gave them a higher position. That's what the king did. He promoted them after that. So listen, some of y'all about to give up. Some of y'all about to quit the job that you're on right now. That boss may be giving you double hockey sticks right now. But trust me, if you stand on God's word, on his truth, that same boss that's giving you double hockey sticks is going to be the same boss that promotes you. And it's going to be the same boss that honors you. It's going to be the same boss that gives you praise. Are you listening to me? All because you stood on God's word. You stood on God's strength. God said in your weakness, his strength is made powerful. It is. It is. So trust God. Trust his word. He's about to promote you. It's not time to give up. It's not time to throw in the towel. It's not time for you to say the enemy win. Listen, as soon as you stand on God's word, you have already won. I'm going to say it to you again. God says what? He said, do not be weary in well-doing, for in due season you shall reap if ye faint not. God got you, and you're about to be promoted. I know you're ready to be promoted. You can't help but to be promoted. Why? Because in Deuteronomy 28 says what? God says, if you hearken unto his words, unto his voice, and you keep his commandments, you know God says in there, you shall be above, and right after above it says only. You shall be above only and not beneath. I was asking God, why did you have to say only? Why did you just say you shall be above and not beneath? God said you shall be above only. Means the only place you're supposed to be is at the top. Promotion. You should always be in a promoted state. A state of greatness through God. So if you're doing what God is asking you to do, just hold on. God he's going to put you in the place where he said you're supposed to be. And that's what? Above only. Get ready for promotion, because God has heard your cry. God has heard your prayer. God knows what you've been asking for. You've been abiding in him. His word has been abiding in you. So it can't help but to happen. God is going to promote you. He's going to promote you. And it's going to be by people that you thought hated your guts. And shucks, they probably do. But because you're standing on God's word, you're going to make them a believer, and they're just going to want to do right by you. They're going to want to promote your name. They're going to want to support you. They're going to want to invest in you. They are. So don't give up. Don't write your enemies off just yet. Oh, maybe that's what the goal should be. Don't write your enemies off just yet. Don't let them burn the bridge down, because God will allow your enemy to promote you. He will. He will. I hope y'all got this. Get ready for promotion. I'm on my way to pick up my daughter from school, and I just had to give y'all this golden nugget, because I figured that by the time I pick her up and do some other things, I didn't want to get it to y'all late. But I'm going to make sure I get it to y'all hopefully before 6 p.m. today, okay? And maybe before that. But listen, get ready for promotion. God got you. If God did it for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, he will do it for you. And they are doing the same thing that we're doing. They're standing on God's word. And God will indeed come through. And like I told you, when you get promoted, you will not look like what the enemy tried to put you through. You get me? You got me? Is it good? I know it is, because I'm feeling good right now. Yes, I am. Listen, I hope y'all got it. If you didn't, rewind and watch again. But in the meantime, in between time, you take just a little bit of what I'm telling you and apply to your life to the best of your ability. You won't ever have to mess with smile. Why? Because your smiles will always be genuine. I'll talk to y'all soon. Be blessed, stay blessed, be blessed, stay blessed, be blessed, stay blessed. Promotion, promotion, promotion. Y'all know what's coming next. Ciao.